Hello, today I'd like to give an overview of Document Locator's WebTools 7.0. WebTools 7.0 is written in HTML5, can be accessed from any browser, and was developed with touch-friendly navigation in mind. In this demonstration today, I'm going to be using Internet Explorer. The first thing you'll notice in the new WebTools 7.0 is that the login page looks different. You still have the options as SQL user, current Windows user, different Windows user, or WebTools administrator for login. For this demonstration, I'm going to be a SQL user, and I'm going to log in my information and log in. First, let's look at the interface in WebTools 7.0. The name of the repository is in the upper left-hand corner, and you have a drop-down menu of the different options for navigation. You can do search, workflow, projects, or reports. You have the quick search toolbar, the same as the client, with the same options. You can search by file name, description, version notes, property values, full text, and workflow comments, and change your configuration by simply clicking the checkbox. Shows who's logged in. The white cog allows you to log in as administrator if you have rights, and the help menu, which looks the same as the client. At the bottom of the page, we have the page number and the ability to move page by page or go to the very last page. We can select the number of items to be viewed on a page with values of 10, 25, 50, or 100, and we can see the number of items displayed on a page. In this case, there's 12. In the left view pane, we have a navigation. It looks the same as Windows Explorer. I'm going to navigate by simply clicking on the folder. I'm going to go Accounting, Accounts, Account 100, and then the Scans folder. You can see as I navigated through the folders that the breadcrumbs were developed. We moved from Documents, 20 Accounting, Accounts, Account 100, and now we're in the Scans folder. And the list of the documents are displayed. Along with the breadcrumbs, we see the typical column configurations. In WebTools 7.0, we have a new feature which allows us to move the columns based on your security. If I want to move account number, I can simply move it next to the file name. You also have the ability to sort by ascending or descending values. I can either click on the column to do the sorting, or I can use the drop-down arrow to choose specific ascending or descending, and I can also manipulate the columns. If I decide count number is not something I want to view, I simply deselect the checkbox, and now account number is not displayed. If I'd like to reset these values back to the standard when I opened it, I can simply go to the folder level and say Reset Current View. And now the column configuration is back to its standard. In this folder, we have different options. We can create a new document from a template, we can import a document, we had advanced import because we're using Internet Explorer, we have the ability to add a new folder, and create a new folder structure. Let's do advanced import. You'll notice that the dialog looks similar to the older WebTools. You still have the capability to drag and drop a document in to the dialog for import. But in the next versions of WebTools, we're going to have the ability to drag and drop a document no matter what browser you're using, not just Internet Explorer. When I drag and drop this document in, the folder level properties were already defined, and I'm going to import the document. And you can see just how quick the document imports. The file I imported was this invoice here. Let's look at some of the functions that we have on documents. You can right-click on a document and get the similar menu to have in the client. You can view, check out, send notifications, and then audit history, such as version history and the document log. To view the document, I simply click on the document and a details pane is displayed. It has a thumbnail, the name of the document, its details, and all of its profile information in plain view. If I'd like more real estate to view the information about the document, I can simply click the bar here and close down the file tree. Or click it again to bring it back. And to close the details pane, I simply click the X in the upper left-hand corner. New to WebTools 7.0, we have the ability to create favorites. Using the star icon next to different documents, you can select documents that you use or want to view on a daily basis. I'm going to select these 4, and then we'll look at them later. At the top here, you'll notice a file icon. It allows you to do functions on multiple files. If I select these 4 files and come up here, you can see the options that we have. Now that we've looked at some functions in the Documents node, let's go look at Search. You'll notice that the Search pane looks very similar to the Advanced Search pane in the client. You have the same options. You can search by file date, document notes, user file activity, record management, search on the file by its size, workflow information, and other advanced options. In this case, I'm going to use the path Documents and search for any file with part of it being like invoice, and click the search button. I come back with folders and files. You can see the favorites that are mine. If I'd like to see 10 items at a time, I can simply click 10, and now there's going to be multiple pages, 1 and page 2, and it tells me the number of items on that page. You also have the ability to do your save searches, just like the client. In this case, I can search for the last 30 documents. Now that we looked at search, let's go look at workflow. You'll notice that there's 3 tabs: Messages, My Tasks, and Task History. Just like other email inboxes, the bolded messages are unread messages, and the plain text are messages that have been read. If I simply click on the subject, and the message opens in the same window, allowing me to complete file actions right here: forward, reply, or simply close the message. In My Tasks, I can complete my workflow tasks in one view. Simply click on the task. It allows me to perform all my workflow actions right in this window. I have the same file actions. I have my route, the documents associated, and depending on security, manager overrides. If we go to task history, it's the same concept. We can simply click on our task history, select the route, and then view the information, votes, other activities, and documents. Take a quick look at projects. As you may already know, projects is a way of tracking changes to a group of documents as they evolve by taking snapshots in time. Let's take a look at my relocation project and see how it's changed over time. By clicking the project, I can see that there's 14 items in this project. If I go to the project menu, I have a few options. I can edit the project, add a file, create a new version, or take a snapshot in time, delete the project. Let's go to Edit Project. You'll notice in this project that there's multiple versions, there's project details, the files associated with the project summary, and project version summary. If we go to version 1, we can look at the date it was created, January 21st of 2011, and that there was 4 project files when this started. If we move to version 2, we can see the number of files changed to 7. Version 3 to 14 items. As you can see, these are snapshots in time. I'm going to close this dialog, and then we'll delete a file and come back and see what version 7 will look like. So let's close the dialog. I'm simply going to select this document, right-click, and say Remove from Project, and confirm. Now that I've deleted the document, there's 13 items in this folder. I'm going to go here and say New Version. Yes, I'd like to increment to the next version, which will be version 7. Now if we view version 7 and go to Project Files, there's going to be 13 items associated. And for the project summary version, we can see it was just created today, August 22nd, 2014. Now that we've looked at projects, let's go take a look at reports. WebTools version 7, you'll notice that all the reports are along the side here, and have the numbered reports. And to the right, there's a bubble displaying the details about this report. 1400 report is top 10 folders by file count. As I click on the report, you'll notice how quickly the reports open. Within just a few moments, the report opens and displays all the content. You can drill down on the report by simply clicking, just like in the client. Also similar to the client, you can export these reports in multiple different formats right from WebTools. Before we finish this overview, let's go back to the documents and review our favorites. I simply click the favorites. You can see the 4 documents that I selected earlier. I can select the document and work from it right where it's at and perform all the functions that I need to because this is a document I work with daily. I hope you've enjoyed this overview of Document Locator's new WebTools 7.0.